How are you, sir?
I'm great.
What's your hat today?
I don't even know. Bel Air.
All right, we're gonna get started with an old friend of yours, Doc. Go ahead,
Right.
Brad Turner.
Hello, Doc.
Broderick, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Look, I want to start by asking you, look, you're as old as I am, if not older.
That's the way to go with this interview.
Yeah, yeah, right. But I say that because you and I have heard, I'm sure everyone's heard, it's been 400 years of trying to get change.
Yeah.
Now that you guys are doing this, how do you reconcile trying to tell your players, your team, other players, the public, that just because it hasn't been enough change that you still can't stop, you still have to keep fighting? How do you deal with that, knowing that we're still dealing with these situations?
Well, change doesn't happen a lot of times quickly either. Um, and I think our players actually kind of learned that over the last couple of days that, um, you know, the one I'm going to start with this, that the players were phenomenal. I was fortunate enough, they invited me to sit in on the meetings, and, all of them. There's been so many different reports, but just from a fly on the wall, I was just so impressed with them. Um, uh, the meeting last night, I thought I was really impressed because, you learn a lot of things. Number one, that, the players and the owners are partners. And it didn't have to be a contentious meeting, and it wasn't. It was a discussion about what they needed, what they wanted. And, Adam and the owners were on board with most of it or all of it, and even the things that they didn't come to an agreement on, they discussed. So just to start there was great. But you're right. Just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't happen. And like I've always, don't give in to something that hasn't happened. Keep pushing, keep working. Um, the key to this thing is that I think that we all needed to take a breath. We needed a moment to breathe. Um, it's not lost on me that George Floyd didn't get that moment, you know, but we did, and we took it, and the players took it, and they got to refocus on the things that they wanted to focus on outside of their jobs, and then they voiced it, they organized it, they got it together, they understood they can't do everything on their own, that we all need help to get things done. And they went out and they got that help as well. So again, just the pride to be in the NBA, it was very high for me. I slept very well last night, thinking that our young people spoke, and that was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, BT. Next up, we have Ohm. Go ahead, Ohm.
Hey Doc, yesterday you spoke about how emotional it was for your team. Like Wednesday night, they went from thinking that it was over to Thursday, we're playing again, playing for championship. I mean, it sounds like the world has really kind of changed inside the bubble in the last 48 hours for you guys. What's the challenge of getting back on the court mentally and just refocusing on playing basketball again? Won't it feel different playing on Sunday as opposed to saying what you guys played the last time you were on the court?
I don't know if it'll feel different or not. What's never lost to me is my job. At the end of the day, it's not the NBA's job to solve the world. It's the NBA's job to be part of the world. And so I think we've accomplished that part, but you still have to do your jobs. I think that today may be a tough day, and even whenever we play tomorrow, but will be a tough day practice-wise just to get refocused. But I do think that the couple of days off will help in that fact as well.
Thanks, Doc. Next question is going to come from Cassidy down in Orlando.
Chris Paul today said, being in that room specifically on Wednesday night was unlike anything we had ever seen in his 15 years. Being a former player, coach, how would you describe what that feeling was to have all those players and coaches in that room? What was that feeling like for you?
It was awesome, Cassidy, again. And I don't even know if that meeting went well. That meeting had a lot of anger, a lot of voices, a lot of emotion. I think I've learned long ago, emotion is great. Being emotional sometimes is not, you know what I mean? But it was out there. We got to hear what people felt and thought. So to me, that was very powerful. That's what I told our guys, the players, that this is a powerful moment. You guys are learning how powerful you can be. And that I was proud of. But then to come back that next morning, and it was amazing the difference. They got it out, then they could talk. And then this third meeting, now we could work. I just thought the progression of that was absolutely perfect.
Thanks, Cassidy. Doc, next question is from Dan Wilkie.
Doc, kind of a couple of ones that are all sort of related. You said progress is slow in this stuff, but one of the things players were able to accomplish was a commitment on NBA arenas to be used as polling places.
Yeah.
That's already been moving in a little bit in that direction, but to get, we saw Houston yesterday, Utah today. I assume more will come after that. How important was it to see something tangible? And then I think secondly, you mentioned being a part of the world. Players are on CNN. People are talking now, but in a week or 2 weeks, it's going to be the conference finals, and the stakes on the court are going to be higher. And then it'll be the NBA finals, and the stakes will be higher still. How can that not overshadow the real work? And is that even possible?
I don't know if it's possible or not. I think that's up to the players, and it's up to you guys, to keep the talk going. Listen, the stakes are high now, for players and coaches. We've had a couple coaches fired. After they lost. So I don't think anybody that plays a game thinks the stakes aren't high now. But after the game, or whenever you feel like it, you can still speak out. And you don't have to speak out. It's not your job. Some guys choose to. I've always choose to do it. But there's no demand like that you have to. I think everybody should do whatever is comfortable in their space, and we can keep doing it. I just think there's so many guys that there's no way that their voice will be drowned out during the finals or the conference finals. Because when you think about it, we have even more media that is there to get our voice out. So I think that'll be good.
And Doc, real quick, the polling places?
It's awesome. I'm already on a board, for the Election Supercenters project, and that's what we're doing. LeBron has his group. That was the other thing, by the way. It was really cool that people understood you can all have your different groups, but you still do it together. That came to fruition last night when we were talking about it. You can use anybody's groups. Miami's working really hard right now. Some of these things were set already, and some have just started, but the tangible things were important. I thought taking the breath was important, just needed a breather, right? I thought that was important. That's actually tangible for the players. Forming the coalition, I thought was fantastic because that's the future. It's not just now, but forming a coalition with coaches and players and ownership and the league. And then hiring other people to come in to help work that, I thought it's huge to get that done. Voting is right now. So we're doing that right now. We got to get people to vote. Black men, black and brown men have to vote. And so the registration, the suppression right now has never been higher. Our players understood that. And so that's important. And so we just got to keep moving forward. And then the George Floyd bill, we got to get that on the floor. We have to. And so we're going to work to get that done as well.
Thanks, Dan. Next question from Andrew Greif.
Hey, Doc, good to talk with you. I was just curious, in terms of your own team's discussions, I'm sure you weren't part of every single one among the players, but I guess how did those play out from Wednesday night to Thursday morning? And who do you like? There's been some talk about Kawhi was someone who really spoke out at one point. Kind of who drove those discussions? What did you feel like you
I
learned?
thought they all did. We had a long discussion that night in the hallway. But I thought everyone. I thought Lou was fantastic. Kawhi was fantastic. Marcus was absolutely wonderful. So there was a lot of guys who talked that night. I was just sitting there trying to get them to talk, and they did. A lot of emotion. I think the thing I learned as a coach, where I would honestly admit that I didn't see how much effect the bubble has. The bubble has an effect, guys, and I'm the first to say I missed that. And so I got to be better in seeing that, how we can make this experience better for our guys. That's nothing to do with politics or anything else. That's to do with real life, and so we have to really monitor that better. And I'm the first to say I knew it was hard, but I didn't see the impact. So we have to do better there.
Doc, next question comes from Chris Mannix there in Orlando with you.
Did you leave the meeting Wednesday night thinking the Clippers were going home?
No, I did not. No, I think everyone else did. But I knew it was how high the emotions were. And I just had a lot of faith in that it would all come down. I mean, I guess the report was the Lakers and the Clippers. I think it was close, though. I don't think it was a layup either way. But I did not.
Doc, we have a question from Miriam. Go ahead, Miriam.
Hey there, Doc. What was I going to ask you? Oh, the fact that all the guys got together in a room and how powerful that was. Are there plans to do that more often, to have sort of big wide?
That's a great question. I don't know that. It's funny. We talked about that. I remember CP and I talked the first day we got here, and I thought it would be a good idea to do it. This is when nothing was going on, and he told me it was hard to get everybody because of all the practice schedules and stuff. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to just get the rooms fillings. Don't need any coaches there. Just them talking, I think, is very important.
Great, Doc. And we have one last question from Taylor Rooks. Go ahead, Taylor.
Hey, Doc. So we talk a lot about perspective, but in years to come, when history tells the story about these past couple days, what story do you want it to tell?
Oh, man, Taylor, that's too deep. God. I want them to tell the story about what they're speaking about now, that the league is doing something. Whenever that story is told, they're talking about what's happening at that moment that it started then. The reason I say that means they're still doing it. And this, I'm just hoping, is now one hit wonder thing. This has to continue. And I think that's why the coalition is so important, because this is not about just today. Something's going to happen next week, next month. And we have to have a group in place to understand how to handle that and understand how to help the players process through it. And we have to have a group that is working on legislation all the time, not just U.S. but state to state legislation. And so I think that's the story that I want to tell. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the deep question. Appreciate it.
No problem.